begin today's strength and stretch, standing tall, feet together. Taking an in-breath, reaching the arms up high, holding here for a few breaths. Focus on pushing the ground, lengthening up through the arms. On an out breath, bringing the arms down to the sides, chin to the chest as we roll down through the bones of the back, into forward bend. Not too deep at this point. Taking a very slight twist from side to side, letting the arms hang. Keeping the knees drawn up, keeping the legs long. Through the centre, with a slight bend of the knees, rolling up through the back at the top, taking an in-breath, reaching the arms up high. Hold for a few breaths. Once again, on an out breath, bringing the arms down. Chin to the chest, rolling down through the bones of the back into forward bend. Okay, I'm going to turn to the side. Keep facing in the same position. Bringing the hands to the shins, coming up slightly, lengthening through the back into flat back. Next, bringing the palms to the floor, extending the feet behind into high plank. From high plank, pushing down through the feet, lifting up through the knees, pulling the thighs up into the hips, tucking the tailbone under slightly. Press the hands deeper into the floor, widen through the shoulder blades. Taking a very subtle sway, forwards and back. Try to prevent the ribs from dropping down and sagging into the lower back. Next, bring the knees to the floor. Allow the hips to press back towards the hips. Reach the arms forward. Let the upper body rest against the upper thighs. Into child's pose. Moving next into downward facing dog, taking the hands a little wider than shoulder width. Curl the toes under, feet about hip distance. Pressing down through the feet, through the hands, lifting the knees. As the legs extend, press the hips towards the ceiling. Pull the hip bones in, lengthen through the back. Put a little bit of width through the shoulders. Next, slight bend of the knees, stepping in, rolling back up to stand, feet together. Taking an in-breath, reaching the arms once again up overhead. Feet together this time, knees together. Bringing the fingertips together, position the thumbs into the bottom of the chest bone. Taking a slight bend of the knees, we press the hips back, keeping the spine long. On the stretch, take a very slight rotation to one side. Think of pushing the knees in the opposite direction. Keeping the tip of the nose in line with the tip of the fingertips. Maintaining length in the back as we rotate through the centre across to the other side. Keeping the inner thighs squeezed together. Through the centre with the knees bent. Bring the finger ends or the palms towards the ground. From here, left to right. Extend, pulse through the back of the knees. Feel the back of the hips lifting upwards. Feel a stretch through the back of the thighs. Let the chin come down to the chest slightly. Into flat back next. Palms to the shins. Tailbone points back. Chest bone pushes forward, lengthening into the back. Try to remember what we feel in the lower back at this point when we move into the following downward facing dog. Bringing the palms to the floor, extend the feet out behind, into high plank. Next, from the knees or the toes, Chaturanga. Softening into the elbows, keeping the ribs lifted, keeping the body long. Lowering down to hover, slowly, pause at the bottom. Keeping the elbows tucked into the sides. As we lower the front of the body down, relax the thighs, relax the knees, point the toes, front of the feet relaxed into the floor. Upward facing dog next. Lift the chin, lift the chest, lift the ribs. Gentle push through the palms, holding here. Let the head turn to one side, left to right. Try to keep the shoulders pressed down. Into child's pose next, as we soften through the elbows, lifting the hips up, back, pivoting from the knees, resting the upper body down on the upper thighs. Downward facing dog next. Palms a little wider than shoulder width. Curl the toes under. Press down through the palms, through the feet, lifting up through the knees, extending up through the spine, through the hips. Walk the feet in slightly to gain a little more height. Just like we did, in forward bend, left to right, through the heels, lengthening further through the hamstrings. Next, low runner's lunge, coming forward, bring one foot towards the outside of the hand. Shuffle the back leg a touch further back, try to keep the back knee pulled up, extending through the back leg. Next, bringing the hand that's in contact with the inside of the front foot up towards the ceiling. Let the upper body follow the arm as we rotate, lengthening, lifting, stretching. Maintaining the lift in the back knee. Bring the elbow down towards the floor. Feel the upper body follow the arm. Sinking a touch deeper. Breathing evenly. Let's reach overhead once again. At the top, let's try to bring the back of the hand round towards the lower back. Create a little bit of pressure to pull the upper shoulder further round. Try to lift away from the bottom shoulder. Reaching up, round, down. Bringing the hand around under the thigh, towards the outside of the front foot. Take a slight lean into the stretch, maintaining the stretch. Gently rotate. Circle in one direction. Still keeping the lift in the back knee. We should be feeling a little bit of tension around the front of the thigh. Circle in the opposite direction. Try to turn the whole body as one complete unit. Right, unwinding, back through high plank, step back, softening down into the knees, hips to the heels, release the upper body, decompressing into the back, child pose. Moving through downward facing dog once again, hands a little wider than shoulder width, pushing down through the hands, toes, lifting up through the knees, extend through the legs, lifting the hips a little higher. Walk the feet in slightly once again, try and push a little deeper through the heels. Low runner's lunge, opposite side, step the hand in slightly, step the foot to the outside of the front hand, step further back, lift up through the back knee, try to push the hips down slightly. Turn and lift, reach once again, try to widen through the arms, open up through the chest, expand through the shoulders. Bringing the elbow down towards the ground, the upper body follows, keeping the back knee pulled up, keeping the back leg long. Breathing evenly. Turn, reach, lift, extend, expand, exaggerate length. Taking the back of the hand once again into the lower back. Create a little bit of pressure to pull the shoulder further round. Lift away from the bottom arm. Easing down. Reaching the hand round to the outside of the foot. Take a slight lean into the stretch. Turn. Circle. Switch. And unwind through high plank. Feet together. Slight bend of the knees. Lift the hips next as we reverse. Walk in. Step the feet in. With the knees bent, slowly rolling up the stand. At the top, feet together. Breathing in, reaching overhead. Take a couple of breaths once again. On an exhalation, bringing the arms down, finding a little more depth in forward bend. Take a very slight rock from the balls of the feet and the heels. Small. Into half lift. Hands to the shins. Pressing through the back of the knees. Pushing the tailbone behind. Pushing the chest forward. Lengthening into the lower back. Maintaining the length as we slide the hands down the shins slightly. Extend the feet behind once again into high plank. Chaturanga next. From the knees or the toes. Bringing the elbows slowly into the sides as we bend. Lowering. Hovering. Holding momentarily. Then releasing down. Let the feet point. Lift the chin, lift the chest into upward facing dog. Pushing the shoulders down. Left to right through the hips. Turn. Press. Once again, breathing easy. Through the center into child's pose next. Soften into the elbows. Lift through the hips. Pressing back. Into downward facing dog, hands a little wider, curl the toes under, press through the hands and feet, lift through the knees, extend high. Okay, next, as we breathe out, come forward, bring the knee up towards the forehead, chin to the chest, rounding into the back. Into three-legged dog, reaching up, turn from the upper thigh, lift a little higher. Into low runner's lunge, step the foot forwards. Next, rising up onto the fingertips, finding support through the ball of the back foot. As we rise up into warrior one, reach the arms high, lift up through the chest. Turning next onto the heel of the back foot, reach through the arms, warrior two. Try to keep the front knee pushed forwards, reaching through the arms. Into a triangle next as we extend through the front foot, through the front leg, through the knee, bringing the back of the hand down to the inside of the foot. Expand through the arms, widen the shoulders, expand into the chest. Reversing slowly back into warrior two. Bringing the back hand into the lower back. Turn, lift through the front arm, shoulder, ribs. Reverse, warrior. Reversing once again, back through warrior two next. Try to lift through the front of the body, extend into the back of the body. As we turn and rise back through warrior one. Bringing the hands down into low lunge, runner's lunge, bringing the front foot behind, sinking into the knees, pressing back into the heels, decompressing through the lower back. Okay, moving on, same thing, opposite side. Hands a little wider than shoulder width, downward facing dog, curl the toes under, lift the knees, press into the hands. On an exhalation, bring the knee to the forehead, chin to the chest, rounding into the back. Three-legged dog, reaching up, turn the upper thigh, lift a little higher. Low runner's lunge. Front low runner's lunge, coming up onto the finger ends. Next, try to make the finger ends lighter and lighter as we feel the lower back, the connections from the cord expanding outwards, maintaining our balance as we rise up into warrior one. Turning onto the heel of the back foot. Turn from the upper thigh. Into Warrior Two. Lengthen through the arms. Bring the back of the front hand towards the inside of the front foot. Maintaining length in the upper body. Back to Warrior Two. Back hand into the lower back, bring the front arm, turn, reach, lift. Reversing back through Warrior Two. Lifting up through the front of the body, extending into the back of the body. Turn through the upper arms, pivot onto the back foot. Warrior One. Down into low lunge. Through Runners Lunge. Extend the front foot behind, high plank. Soft bend of the knees, lift the hips, reverse. Walk in. Rising up to stand. Next. Wide stance. Maintaining the lift through the kneecaps, keeping the thighs firmly pulled up into the hips. Creating a fold from the hips, forward bend. Palms to the floor. Try to push the heels a touch wider. Without the knees softening. Without losing the fold over the hips, soften into the elbows, bring the upper body a touch further down. If the ability allows, bring the forehead down. Bring the hands round to the back of the heels. Relax the shoulders, pull the shoulders down. Bringing the hand back towards the floor, coming forward slightly. We rise up, lift the upper body, taking the feet a little wider still. Pushing the hips back as we walk the hands in. Take a very slight, subtle rock forwards and back, maintaining the length in the inner thighs, hamstrings, keeping the knees firmly pulled upwards. Low crouch next. Take the hands in the upper body a touch further forward, making the feet lighter. Walk the feet in. Pushing into the heels, bring the hips down. If we lose the ability to keep the heels on the floor, then keep a little bit of support through the hands or through the fingertips. If we find comfort through the heels, bring the palms together with the back of the arms against the inner thighs. Create a small amount of resistance. Try to lift through the chest, press down through the tailbone. Maintain position. Take a slight sway side to side. Into a seated straddle next. Bring one hand at a time behind, safely lowering the back of the hips down, spacing the feet out into a straddle seat. Next, bring one hand round behind, pull the shoulder back next as we reach the opposite arm around towards the opposite foot. Pressing the back of the thighs down, lifting out of the side, reaching as far as the ability allows, even if it means holding onto the opposite thigh. Release through the center, opposite side, bringing the shoulder back, reaching with the opposite arm, round to the opposite foot, lifting out of the waist, through the center, bring the palms to the floor. Walk the hands forward slightly. Feel the upper body follow. When we reach that maximum range, hold, relax. On an out breath, soften through the elbows. Bring the upper body a touch further forwards. Walking the hands in, easing back, rolling to the outer edges of the thighs, bending the knees, bringing the feet together. From here, lift the upper body, shrug the shoulders slightly, bringing the forehead down towards the toes. Let the elbows widen to maintain openness through the chest. Rising up, hands to the ankles, draw the heels further in. Resist the elbows against the inner thighs, pushing the shoulders down, pushing the front of the chest upwards. Seated, forward bend next. Push the feet forward, press the back of the knees into the floor. Lengthen, lift through the chest. Imagine rolling over a large ball. Try not to grab the feet. Try to maintain position of the upper body. On each exhalation, see if we can ease a touch further. Let the shoulders shrug upwards. Next, rising up. Bring one foot in, over the top of the opposite thigh. Try to bring the heel a touch further to the outer hip. Hugging the knee inwards. Bring the opposite arm round behind. Think of spiraling upwards as we twist. Releasing, switching. Try to take a slight turn over to bring the foot flat to the floor. Pull the shoulder round, spiral upwards. And through the centre once again. Try to walk the feet in, just a little wider than shoulder width. Pressing down through the sit bones, feel the upper body lifting upwards without the arms touching the knees. Bring both knees across to one side. Take a slight lean into the direction to maintain balance. Left to right, up, over to the other side. Breathing evenly. Then through the centre, coming round into a 4-point kneeling position. Both hands, both knees. Relax the front of the feet into the ground. Third dog next, maintaining the length in the spine as we breathe out. Push one hand, opposite knee, apart. Inhale, as we release. Exhale. Inhale, without arching into the back or losing balance, try to create a very subtle turn through the upper arm and lift. Inhale. Breathing out. Keeping the back and the neck long. Try not to overextend, try not to lift too high. Next. Into high plank. Soft bend the knees, lift the hips, reverse, walk it in. With the feet together, slowly roll it up. At the top. Single leg stretch. Tuck the heel in, bring the knees together. Feeling the support from the grounded foot. Without touching the ground next. Standing, pigeon stretch. Bring the heel across, push the bent knee down. Take a slight bend into the support leg, push the hips back. Let the upper body counterbalance. Forwards. Feeling a little bit of stress now, building in to the support leg. Rising up without touching the ground, the lifted leg. Bring the knee into the chest. Slight bend of the elbows, pull the shoulders back, lift high. And release. Single leg stretch, opposite side. Tuck the heel in, push the knees together. Standing pigeon stretch. Once again, bring the heel across, push the bent knee downwards. Soft bend into the support leg, push the hips back, counterbalance with the upper body. Feeling the stress begin to build through the support leg without touching the ground with a lifted foot. Rising up, lift the knee, slight bend of the elbows, pull the shoulders back, lift for height. And release next. Feet together, side bend with the heels together, toes turned out. Reach the arms up overhead, interlace the fingers, push the index fingers to the ceiling. Push the upper arms against the side of the skull. Take an in-breath as we ease to one side. Keep the knee and the thighs together. Push the hips on the opposite side to counterbalance. Up and over to the other side. Through the centre. Final forward bend. Feet together. Chin to the chest. Bone by bone. Rolling down. Tucking the hips in. Breathing evenly. Softening into the knees now. Rolling up slowly. At the top, roll the shoulders back. And release. Shake it